Man Hathaway has been staring me down for hours and hours and hours. Fuck, yeah, you can't put this in there.
Welcome back to Tap Tempo with me, Matt Lang. I had a fun weekend this past weekend. Went down to San Diego, played a show down at Spin Nightclub. Spent the next day just lounging around the beach. Spent some time in Oceanside. Beautiful beach, beautiful water, great stuff. I also just had a remix come out. It is for my friends called Black Math, and it's a very cinematic, industrial, and rather heavy remix. But if you check out my Spotify or SoundCloud or what have you, you can find it there. It's called Lapse, and it's my Unforgiven remix. This week on the show, I have producer Not Sorry. And Not Sorry, he's also a fellow New Yorker. He's been out here in LA for 7 years. He's released a lot of music on Play Me Records, Reed Speed's label, as well as Diplo's Mad Decent. And he's got a new record coming out this Friday on Viper Recordings, which is the pretty well-known drum and bass label. It's called Shadows and is a collaboration with Des McMahon. So we pretty much talk all things drum and bass, dubstep, and then a lot about just life later in the episode. So it's a good chat. He's an awesome dude. And here it is. What are you not sorry about?
I don't know. No, the name really, it came from just a joke. I was writing a Twitter bio for something else.
Yeah.
Like just a random like techno project that I like in my mind wanted to start after Hard and at the Dirty Bird stage. I was like, this is all really cool. I was like, it'd be fun to do a project like this.
Right.
And I was writing a Twitter bio for that project, which never did anything, never even made a tune for it. And I ended it with Not Sorry. Like It was like, I basically took what they had recommended and then just like riffed off of it and Not Sorry. And then eventually later I was like wanting to do more drum and bass and less dubstep and like started this like side project from the group that I was in before, but never finished anything, never released anything. And then that project kind of ended and I was like, okay, well, I've got this idea to go off of. And I was like, I kind of like it. I like the idea. I like the brand ability behind it. I like the just not giving a fuck because I like doing dubstep and I like mixing different types of sounds and music and genres and whatever, but in kind of like a contained realm.
Right.
So I guess, I don't know, it seemed to work. And then like I had the logo already done and I was like, yeah, this kind of works.
Right.
And it's weird because it had nothing to do with the end of the other project. It's not like I left and was like, no, I'm not fucking sorry about this other thing or anything like that. It was just like, no, it just, I don't know, it worked.
It was a catchphrase.
Yeah. And it's something people can remember. And I got a buddy who's like really big into branding and is like, you know, if you could make a brand of something where you want to buy that thing because it says this thing, like you're onto something, you know, like you see something on a t-shirt, like even like fucked. You got skateboards here, like, you know, like
of course.
People see that and they're like, that's cool. I want to have something to do with that, or like a dope design. Like everybody nowadays wears metal shirts and they have no idea what band they're wearing, but they're like, this looks really cool. I feel cool wearing this. Like, I don't know. So I kind of like just played on that and ran with it.
Right on.
I guess I tend to apologize a lot more than my name says I do.
Yeah, well, that's why it's a misnomer right there, because you're very sorry.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. I'm always fucking shit up. I break things.
It's all right. I break everything. How do you think what you're doing, because you're kind of in a transition musically right now. You're doing more drum and bass than previously.
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to do more drum and bass. I love drum and bass. It's kind of the thing that got me into making electronic music.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I grew up playing in bands and eventually found Aphex Twin and Square Pusher and Diesel Boy and Cats. No, yeah. And like I remember the breakbeat science exercise records.
Oh yeah.
And funny enough, Reed worked at the shop in New York, and like we never actually met there or anything, but like I think it's funny how like our relationship has come full circle, like working with Play Me and things like that. But I don't know, I love it, and I wish it was way more popular in the States. And more cats. No, I wish it was more popular in the States, and I think it's starting to kind of catch where people are into it, and I think, you know, over the past 5 or so years even, kids that go out to shows, or anybody that goes out to shows, they're like into multiple genres, multiple tempos, and like I remember a show in probably 2012 or 13, and like Kill the Noise just like hit every single genre in his set, and it was so fluid, and like everybody reacted the same way for every genre than like a room where people were only there to hear one thing. And I was like, oh, this is really fucking cool.
Right.
But with doing drum and bass, like it's kind of like a love. I love doing dubstep. It's so much fun because it's got like for the dubstep I like to make, it's got a bit more of the like headbanger metal kind of thing in there.
Yeah, you've got some of that. Yeah, I mean, and your sound design too. I mean, it's really it's really high level.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know. I think of it like as far as like a metal thing, you know, doing riffs where you've got like a guitar player playing like a lead and a riff. And I was saying to Jared earlier, our buddy Jared, shout out for the ride. Shout out for the bringing us together.
And bartender.
Yeah. Bro tender.
Yeah. For today. Not career-wise, just right now.
But doing riffs, like where you're playing guitar and you're kind of messing with like a volume pedal, and you know the way you can mess with vibrato, and a lot of times because I can't play on a keyboard, I'll just like sing it out loud and do it with my voice in a way so that I can put it in the computer.
Yeah, totally.
But incorporating that, like, you know, having a chord progression or having some sort of music thing and then riffing on top of it.
Right.
So I don't know, it kind of like puts the two together.
What metal bands were you into when you were younger?
So early on, like when I first started getting into like heavier stuff, I know Nine Inch Nails isn't metal, but they were like the first real heavy band I listened to that was like really eye-opening. I must have been 12 years old, Jesus.
So that was probably Downward Spiral?
I got into them off of
The Fragile.
No, earlier than that. So Pretty Hate Machine had already been out because that was 89.
Broken.
Broken, that
had Wish on
that was the red one.
Yeah.
So that, and then my cousin who lived with me at the time gave me that and some B-sides.
Okay.
And she was probably 10 or 12 years older than me, and she was like, here's your musical knowledge of life.
Oh, wow.
Here's Nine Inch Nails, here's Marilyn Manson, here's the Doors, here's the Beastie Boys, here's Queen, and kind of opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. But with metal, I really like Metallica. I guess they're still, I mean, then they were a little bit more on the metal side, and eventually
they were like totally my entry point into metal.
Okay.
Certainly.
So I'm not wrong in saying that.
Yeah. No, not at all. They're the biggest metal band of all time.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like listening to And Justice for All and the Black Album. I remember another cousin gave me that album for my birthday, and I was like, oh my God. And I just kind of burned it through.
Oh, totally.
You know, listening to it over and over and over. But them, Rage Against the Machine. I really liked White Zombie.
Yeah.
And then Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
My mom even took me to see him when I was, Jesus Christ, I was probably 13 or 14 years old.
That's a cool mom thing to do.
My mom's been to a lot of really cool concerts and probably a lot of funny ones. Like she's been to that, between that and Blink 182.
Yeah.
Throughout the years, like, cause I was too young to drive, and we're like, oh, it's at this random fairground. Like, we're just gonna go, and like she'd be there, and she's like, oh, it's fucking loud. And somebody's like, yo, put cigarette butts in your ear. She's like, I don't smoke. like, oh, here. Like, okay, that'll work.
Put cigarette butts in your ear.
Yeah.
That's so fucking redneck.
I mean, that's what you get at the random weird fairgrounds out in East New Jersey.
Oh, man.
I guess that's where it was. I don't know. It was like hours outside the city.
What venue was it? Like, God, not
Waterloo Village? Does that sound right?
Maybe. I'm trying to think what the big venue that the bands always did in New Jersey.
So this was one I'd only ever been to once, and it was for Blink 182, Bad Religion, and Phoenix TX.
Oh, wow.
Which was a really cool thing for me to see as a kid.
I saw Phoenix TX at, the Waterlands, I think it was called. It was in New York. It was like they closed in the 90s, but that was like one of my first shows ever. Or actually, I would say the set of my first shows I ever went to, like punk rock shows.
Dude, I fucking love them. I'll still put on that one record that I really know. And it's still just as good as when I was a kid listening to it.
Yeah.
But, in Jersey, we used to go to Birch Hill and see, bands like Midtown and Taking Back Sunday.
Oh, they're all Jersey, aren't they? Taking Back Sunday is Jersey.
Taking Back Sunday was Long Island, I think.
Oh.
But I know they did their first big record at Big Blue Meanie, which was in Jersey. So I feel like,
okay.
I mean, if you're in the New York, New Jersey kind of pop punk, hardcore, post-hardcore, whatever, I mean, blur the lines kind of thing.
Yeah, that scene.
I mean, everybody was screaming and angry at somebody with like hair over their eyes at that point in time. I know I was.
I'm still doing it.
Yeah. But, so we used to do Birch Hill, Chrome. Eventually, Birch Hill got closed. I got to play that at the Wrecking Ball show, which was really cool because it was like I had seen so many bands there, and it was like this big staple of, if you get to play there on their main stage, which is it's a tiny room compared to what we do now.
Yeah.
It was like the dream.
Right.
Like the green room was, I don't know, it was probably like a 6x9 room, like all concrete, and you're just in there. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And you're just like fucking energetic. You're just super pumped to get out there and play. But yeah, it was really cool.
What were you doing in the band?
In the band I was in then, I was playing bass.
Okay.
Yeah. I grew up playing guitar.
Yeah.
And then eventually moved to playing bass a lot more because in the school band, you didn't really have as much room to play guitar in. So I just kind of ended up there.
Right.
Because it was either take band or take gym. So I was like, I'm not athletic. I'm a scrawny little dude. Like,
I was given that same choice, except it wasn't band. It was either you could do gym 3 days a week or you could do yoga for 2 days a week.
see?
And there were like 4 guys in that class, and we all realized how smart we were because it was 4 guys and 40 girls.
See, I
doing yoga in high school.
Okay, my senior year, it was either gym or personal sewing. And I was the only guy...
Personal sewing,
only guy in that class. And that was a lot of fun. So, I made stuffed animals. That's really all I made. I made like a stuffed music note. I made like some sort of... I can't remember what animal it was, but it was Velcroed together in all the sections, so it all came apart.
Yeah.
Made a big panda bear. That was kind of the extent of my personal sewing class.
You never have to take a girl to the carnival ever again.
No. I'll just make that shit.
You've got all that shit in your closet from 20 years ago.
I actually do.
See? Just tell Krista. Just go look. Your reward's in the closet.
Yeah.
That sounds dark.
Real quick, shout out our sponsors, Highland Park Brewery.
I know, right? I love that Jared's just dying in the corner.
Yeah. That's awesome, though. Yeah, they didn't offer yoga in my high school.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I knew what yoga was then. I probably never even heard the word.
I did. One of my aunts, she was actually a very avid yoga practitioner. So when I was growing up, actually, like when she would come over when I was a kid, she'd always practice yoga just when I was like 8.
Yeah.
So I kind of grew up around it, so I was aware of it.
Yeah, we didn't have too much of that. It was more skateboarding, hurting yourself, or...
Yeah, we had that too. We're still doing that.
I mean, I guess everybody went to the gym that I knew, but I don't know what happened in that facility. I never actually stepped foot in it.
Well, see, I had never been to, like, aside from the high school yoga thing, I never went to, like, a proper yoga class ever until I dated a yoga instructor.
See, I still haven't ever done it. Reed, once in a while, will be like, you should do some yoga. It'll be really good for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. I don't have the patience.
I don't like it. To be fair, like, I do yoga before I go skateboarding every time. And I don't do, like, the hour-long, sculpt, hot power yoga, whatever thing. I just do it at home. Like, I put music on and just 20 minutes of, like, stretching. But it's just
I was going to say, 20 minutes seems like it'd be a good, stretch before.
It's just stretch me out so I don't hurt myself when I'm at the skate park. Simple as that.
I really need to get into stretching before and after biking. I bike a lot. And I love it. It's like my favorite thing to do, aside from music or anything like that. But I don't stretch before, and I almost never stretch after. And if I do, it's like a 2-second, like, oh, I'm stretching my arm, and then
no, I got to the point where if I didn't stretch, then I would pull a muscle or I'd strain something. So now it's part of the routine. No matter what, I need my 15, 20 minutes beforehand of just working myself out. And then I go out and then I get back and then I have like another routine of like sit-ups and push-ups just because I want to feel good.
I think now that I'm getting older, I feel it more.
Yeah.
Like a 7 or 8 mile bike ride the next day, I'm like, oh, my shoulders. Oh, I probably should have stretched. I probably should have moved a little differently.
Yeah, you should. Because the amazing thing is now I don't feel it.
Yeah. Okay. So
I might feel tired, but I don't feel like the pain in my muscles or anything like that.
Yeah. So a promise to you and a promise to myself: I'll start stretching.
Well, now there's accountability for it.
Yeah, people are going to hold me to it. They're going to come to me in a club and be like, "Yo, so Anna, you stretching?"
They will, man.
Like, Jesus Christ.
It's cool. Ever since I started this thing, I mean, every time I play a show, at least one person comes up and asks me some question that's relevant to the podcast.
That's great. I love that.
It's getting around, and there is an accountability.
Yeah, so. I really should. Reed's, like I said, so on the West Side, we have the West Side Riders Base Club.
Okay.
Where we all go biking, and she's really good about stretching. She'll be like, okay, I'll see you in 20 minutes. I got to stretch first.
How did you and Reed get together?
From biking, actually, which is really odd. When I was in the group of 4, in them Lost Boys, Ian, I was in Vegas for a wedding.
Yeah.
And odd place to get married, just like for a scheduled wedding.
I've been to a wedding there before. Yeah.
Ian was out with Josie from Candyland, and
not from Kid Rock.
No. Okay. No. and she like mentioned him like, oh, that's Reed Speed. She lives in Santa Monica and likes to ride bikes. And he was like, oh, we love to ride bikes, and like literally ran up to her and like struck up a conversation.
Oh, right on.
And was like, we should. But he went up to her as if they had known each other for 10 years.
Yeah.
And she had no idea who he was, but like was like, maybe I've met this guy before. I don't even know.
Yeah, she's
like,
probably totally weirded out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And then after he was like, yeah, Reed said that we should ride bikes together, and so I hit her up on Twitter, and then she didn't respond, and I was like, oh, really cold.
Yeah.
Because he told me, and she was like, "Wait, what?" And she's like, "I'm literally on an airplane right now. Like, I'm landing. Like, what the hell's going on? What did I do? What did I offend you by?"
Right.
And then we hung out that night and went on a bike ride, and then her and Alex and like everybody at Play Me became like family.
Right.
And we had so much, disconnected history of where we're from and everything we love about, music in general and everything we hate about music in general, or everything we love about the way to do one thing or another. We just clicked and we get along on kind of every plane.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. She's become a really, really great friend.
Yeah. I mean, it's very evident. Like, you guys are always getting ramen together.
Yeah, we love the noodles.
Yeah.
Her and Kian, Wild Boys, trolled me this Christmas with a little plaque that is my Not Sorry's Noodle Studio.
Oh, nice.
And it's hanging above my display, and it's what does it say? It says it may be a while before you get your noodles, but boy, you'll love them when you're done. Because they say I'll always sit there and noodle this or a snare drum for fucking 10 days or this isn't right. This isn't right. And Key's really good about being like, no, it's good. It's good. It's good. Which is great that like him and I found each other and have been able to work because we regularly push each other to be better, be faster, and get more music out. Like him and I made the kind of goal this year to each have at least 12 tunes out. If we could have 17, which is like one every 3 weeks, that's even better,
So how do you do 12 tunes, which is, I mean, you're going totally single based.
Yeah.
And then how do you do a tune essentially a month when release schedules are not created by you for the most part? If you're releasing it through other labels, aside, I guess Play Me, you have a certain amount of leeway. But how are you doing that?
So scheduling wise, for the most of the releases this year have actually been through either Play Me or, like next week or this Friday, we'll be with Viper. And a lot of that is kind of strategically, placing things with where we know they're going to happen. Like the one with Matt Decent was done a bit before. And, then it was kind of juggling, like we weren't sure about a release date. So we kind of play into, okay, like if we do this, then, if they hit us back and they're like, okay, in 2 weeks, we're going to do this one. That's still okay. Then we can push this next thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's definitely, it's frustrating. But having somebody like Play Me, it has been really helpful because I know, 2-3 months in advance, I could be like, yo, can I have this date?
Right.
And not even give them the tune because they have the confidence that I'm going to hand over something.
Well, that's the beauty
that
of
they like.
A personal relationship with them.
Yeah. And having that and knowing the ease of the process of working with Reed and Dez. I mean, bless their souls for being able to tolerate me and making sure, because like, I'm real particular. Like I want everything that I do to come out a certain way to be received. And I think as an artist, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
I think like you spend all this time, you create this piece of art. You want to show it to the world how you want to show it to the world.
Sure.
Like, Tom DeLonge from Blink-182, but he talked about Boxcar Racer. He's like, we were artists just for that project. He's like, we were artists who painted a picture and then we did a tour because we just wanted to show the world this painting. We wanted to show the world this picture.
Right.
And I think that speaks to a lot of the way that my mind works with releasing records. It should be easy. Like this is supposed to be the coolest, most fun world to work in, to be involved in. Everybody wants their hand in it, but it is a lot of work, and it is something that like is really tough. And like, you're never going to get 100% positive feedback. So, somebody critiquing like this bass needs more reverb, which is a weird comment, but you get it and you're like, okay, like
I love like when someone says a bass needs more reverb, it's one of those.
Yeah, like okay, dude who's got 2 followers and like,
well, it's not even like, your follower count or your social proof or anything. It's just like conceptually, someone saying a bass needs more reverb is funny.
Unless it's Quincy Jones's troll account, like I don't know if it has any weight to it.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
But yeah, working, to circle around or whatever, working with them, working with Play Me specifically has allowed us, Kian and I especially, to do everything in kind of a way we want, make sure it looks the right way.
Right.
We were like, we made a tune and we were like, we really want to shoot a video. We want to shoot something and we don't want it to feel like, oh, we're Hollywood boys in the hills with this house we rented. We're like, no, what do we do on a daily basis? Like we hang out with our friends. We may go skateboarding. Luckily, our friends are really, really good professional skaters. Right. We're not, but, we cruise, like we do our thing. But, like we hang out with them regularly. And then we get a bunch of cheap beer and DJ, in the studio and work on tunes.
Right.
And we're like, how can we put that together? And like Ian, who's the shit, shout out Ian Sansevera at Not Ian Sans, follow his ass. He's the man. Shot it. Edited it, he understood our vision. Like he did his homework too. He even I was like, check out this skate video and this skate video, or even, like that are like, a proper skate video.
Right.
And then, even something to the point of like one of my favorites, which is Yeah Right, which was Spike Jonze.
Oh, the girl video. Oh my God. Yeah, of course.
And it's like, it's super out there, but super funny. Like it's still got humor in it and it's cool. And he like was able to put this thing together, and we had never done a music video before.
Right.
So we were like, Keenan and I had no idea what to expect. And, we at the end of the day, we had this really cool thing. Reed was all supportive as anybody could ever be. Same with Dez with like, how can we push this? How can we promo this? Like, this is amazing. Like and it's always supportive. It's always like a good nurturing thing. Like,
yeah.
We send in a tune and they're like stoked on it. You never have to be like, oh, do they like it? I don't know. Like, that they have the faith in you to hand over something really awesome. Even if you send them like, this is something I think I want to put out in a couple months. Hold the date for me. They're like, okay, cool. We trust.
When you guys did the video, did they give you a budget, or you guys just did it for the love of it, and everyone on board did it because?
So Ian did it definitely on the cheap for us, and he didn't give us a price. He was like, if you could, anything you could do.
Right.
He even bought inline skates so he could really do rolling shots.
Oh, you got to, yeah, totally.
And Reed was like, we'll look at what we can do for you.
Cool.
And then even after that, Kian and I felt like, this dude did such a good job. He sat with us for 12 hours after he did the first edit to go through changes. We provided the PBR. He provided the edit.
The video and the edit.
Even him and I, though, we were like, let's come out of pocket. He deserves as much as we can hand over to him because he gave it 110%. He gave it his all. He kicked its ass. Yeah. And we were so stoked. We love how it came out. It's like, it looks cool. The way he colored it, like everything. I remember looking at it like raw and I was like, this is so sick. And, and everybody involved, like everybody was so amped on it. Just like looking at the shots when he was shooting it on the camera. And by the end of it, we were like, this is really sick. Like, this is something that in years from now, I can't wait to look back on it and be like, that was awesome. I'm so happy I did that. I'm so happy that we did it with the people that we did it with.
Yeah.
So it was cool. But like I said, we're lucky to have somebody like that and a support system like that is encouraging.
Well, and that's important too, because I think especially with a lot of the upcoming generation, and from what I've learned, at least just by speaking to some of them, it's not so much. It seems like the way they're trying to do everything is just purely by social media and not by building the actual personal connections to people.
Yeah.
And the way you guys are able to do everything is purely by your personal relationships.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the way that a lot of my releases have happened, from being in a group before, having past relationships and built on them. Yeah. With the Street remix, we were lucky enough to Kian have a really good relationship with Tyler. Mm-hmm. And we were playing his tune out for 6 months. And then it came out and we were like, fuck, everybody's got it now. Like, we really need to do a dubstep version of this. And we're like with him in his hotel.
Yeah.
Right after it came out in San Francisco. And we're like, can we get the steps for this? And he's like, sure. And then Mad Decent was like all behind it. They were super stoked on it.
Yeah.
Same thing with the stuff that we've done for Party Favor. I've had a really good relationship with Dylan for years.
Yeah.
Years, like so long. And it's so sick to see a friend get as far as they are and give you that opportunity to do something where they can kind of help push you.
Is Dylan Party Favor a different Dylan also? Or is that an alias for somebody else?
No, Party Favor is Dylan. So his real name is Dylan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got it. Okay. No, because I listened to that earlier, and that's the one.
Bapu remix, or the Scrape one, I don't know.
Bapu, yeah, because that's the one drum and bass one in like your top 5 plays on Spotify or whatever.
So funny thing is, there actually exists a drum and bass version of that, a full drum and bass version
of the original?
That may or may not see the light of day as a VIP.
Okay.
At some point in the near future, who knows? But I originally did that, and I played it for Reed, and she was like, "This is fucking sick."
Yeah.
But you should do not this.
Right.
With this opportunity. And she was right, and I'm like, I'm always I'll forever say that I'm blessed to have Reed as somebody to smack me in the face and give me like the proper advice, not like, no, yeah, this is great. This is going to do really well. And
she's
it's like,
a proper New York mentor.
I love it.
Yeah. No bullshit.
Yeah, she really goes above and beyond to be like, yo, no. This is great, but you should think about this. And in reality, it's like, yo, take advantage of the situation that you're given.
Yeah.
Like, do this thing for where it's going. If it's going to Mad Decent, do it like this. She's like, if you're putting this out on Noisy's label, then that's great. You could do this.
Right.
But you're not.
Yeah.
Like, and forever I was so reluctant. And then eventually I was like, okay, cool. Let me like refocus this. Keen too. He was like, no. Yeah, she's right. She's right. And I landed on what I ended up with a lot of the neuro elements still in there.
Yeah, sure.
In fills and messing with stuff. But I still have that, and I want to do something with it, and I want people to hear it because I really like it. And it's definitely like a flex tune. Like I was like just in it, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and it was like, you know, a
flexing like
it's a producer's
like showing off kind of.
Yeah. I mean, not to say that I'm anybody or anything, but like it's definitely
no. We all have moments like that,
like where I felt like I was like really trying hard.
Every now and well, you're isolated by yourself. Every now and then you need that moment of look what I can fucking do.
Yeah.
No, you need that.
Yeah,
totally.
But the more I get into doing more and more drum and bass, the more I'm learning the art of restraint.
Yeah.
Where you want to hear that thing. And I remember hearing a thing that Feed Me said, well, talking about Spore stuff more.
Yeah.
Where, like, kind of teasing elements of sounds and teasing little bits, like, you know, filtering them down and just giving a little away. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden your brain is going to just naturally make up the rest of it. So it's going to think it's even crazier than it may be if it was just played on its own. Mm-hmm. So I've been getting a lot more into that, and I've got a lot of cool stuff that I'm really excited about that I need to just finish. Like a lot of times I'll write half a song and then I'll leave it and I'll do my best to not listen to it.
Yeah.
Like even when I'm writing from the beginning, like I'll write especially with drum and bass, I'll write all the drums. Well, you know, for the drop, right? Okay. I'll get a good chunk of it done. I'll get them sounding great. And I won't ever do anything else. I'll just leave it and be like, okay, I've got this bed that I can build on later. And then one day, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I made this really cool sound. Wait a minute. And I go to it, and I'm like, okay, cool. I can start playing with this with the bed. And you're not distracted by, oh, where's this kick? I got to make this snare or find this snare. Or what's the hi-hat programming going to be? Or am I going to have a break under it? Or is it going to be only a break? You know, whatever it may be.
Right.
And I'll just be able to then write. It's kind of like you've primed your canvas and you've already mixed your paints, but you walk into a room and you're just like, go, go, go. And then you can just get the whole thing out.
Well, in a way, but the other side to see that is you've already locked yourself in.
Yeah. Yeah, because then you're building around something and you've got a groove.
Right.
And James, Dark Elixir, who's a dude from Manchester, and he's a drum and bass madman. And, you know, he was like, imagine two people dancing. Where if both people are trying to show off, because when I was first doing drum and bass, I was like trying to do crazy drum programming on top of crazy bass lines.
Yeah.
And he's like, imagine two people dancing.
One or the other.
Yeah, he's like, if one's showing off, or both of them are showing off, it's just going to look fucked up. Like, nobody's going to be able to do this.
You can't catch it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, but if one's like chilling, and then all of a sudden the other gets to shine, and then he goes back.
Yep.
And that made a big deal to me. Like when I finally it like clicked, and I was like, okay, so I've got this bed, I've got this groove locked in, and okay, I may do a crazy thing here, and you know, obviously you can, because it's all on the computer, you can just like sit and change it and move things around if you need to make it work. Because you're like, oh wait, this idea though that I did after the fact, I wrote this, and I'm like, my hands are going like lower and higher because I'm like drums and bass line, or bass line and drums. You can change it, and you make it work. Nothing's in concrete.
Right.
It's not like tape in the old days.
Did you guys listen to that Alex Perez tune I sent you a few weeks ago?
Yeah, it was really fucking cool.
I got really into his shit recently.
All his shit's really cool.
Because
all of it.
What I love about it is the space. Like, he knows what he's doing. It's like very evident. Like, you know, he is a very well-trained producer, or well experienced, what have you.
Yeah.
But the minimalism.
Dude, and I love playing with silence for kind of that effect, but like being able to do so much with so little.
Yeah.
It's really an art form. It's almost harder than trying to cram a ton of stuff in it. And I think the longer that you produce, you realize that kind of balance, like, oh, I kind of put too much in here.
Yeah.
And I haven't yet. But being able to make just a few sounds work together, like the one tune I did, the LD50, which is like, there's not a lot of tracks in that session, but
what's not a lot to you? Out of curiosity.
I don't know. I think there's under 40 total.
Okay.
Like with grouping or returns.
Okay, that's a reasonable not a lot to me.
Yeah, I mean, and that's because I've split everything, so then maybe that's like 8, and then maybe like
or like 8 submixes or whatever.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
kick and snare, hats, percussion, and then those go to drums, and then I think the sub was separate, mids, melodic, sound effects, and vocals. So 9. And then pre-master. So that's 10, and then returns were probably like 8, so 18. And then the rest was the track.
Right, okay.
But I mean, even with that, like it was awesome to do a track like that because I hadn't done one like that.
Yeah.
And it literally wrote itself in probably an hour and a half.
Well, that's usually. I mean, the best ones are usually written really fast.
Yeah, and it was
Always.
like I made a sound, and it was probably 11:30 or 12 at night.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I remember I did it in Serum, and I like slowed the LFO that was controlling everything down to half a beat or half a bar instead of quarter notes, and I was like, ooh, this is cool. This would be really fun. Like, and just in my head, like thinking for a set, like, you know, go, because a lot of times I play so maximal. I was like, oh, this would be a lot of fun. And I loaded up a new project because I generally make sounds in one and then work in another.
Okay.
And then a lot of times I'll mix in another, but I like put it in and I started like getting little ideas, and then like I saved it and then it crashed. It kept everything, but I got an email like that I had to like do some other like work for like a mastering thing.
Right.
And so I did that, and then I loaded it back up, and then I literally just, once I was done, so probably around 1:30 or 2, wrote until like 2:30 to 4, and then I had the whole thing. I was like, it just kind of like wrote itself, and then mixing it only took like a day. I was like, it already sounded great in Ableton, stemmed it in Cubase to just push it a bit more and clean it up, you know, just a touch.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, like it's sick. Like, and I remember comparing another tune I was doing after. I was like, fuck, how'd I get that thing so loud? And then I looked, I was like, oh, there's nothing in it.
Right.
Like, well, there is, but there isn't. Like, and it just allows for this space to do this.
Well, it's kind of like
thing. Everything
conceptually. That's why, like that thing, Larry and T were talking about, and actually, I guess the first episode of this stuff where they were talking about what they do for every kick and snare is they straight up cut the audio out of anything else.
See, I would love to have the patience to do it.
You know what? It's actually not hard.
In Ableton, it's a bitch.
Well, yeah, you can't do it in Ableton. But, I mean, most of the time, you know, like, let's not kid ourselves, our bass lines, kick patterns, there is some amount of looping involved.
Yeah. I mean, I think based on short loops, you know, keep it repetitive enough with enough changes.
Certainly. So what you can just do, you know, you just do it for a 4-bar loop, however long your loop is, but you just do it really quickly. Then you don't think about it again.
Yeah.
And then
it's done.
It's done. And you get really fast at doing it once you've been doing it. Like it's...
So my thing, in Ableton, it's kind of a bitch. I used to use LFO Tool.
You can't do it for that, yeah.
I keep my MIDI, I keep most of my stuff in MIDI as long as I can. Mm-hmm. But the kick and snare especially, and then I was setting it to LFO Tool and using that to do it.
Yeah.
I started using Volume Shaper recently, and I like it a lot more because I'm actually using a bit more of a curve. It's sort of in the shape that your drums would be.
Can't you make a similar curve in LFO Tool?
Yes, but in Ableton there was an issue with it, like with the grid and with the clock, or I forget what it was. Yeah, the clocking on it.
Got it. Okay.
And one of the guys I live with was like, "Oh, if you hit this, then it helps." But I don't know. I've just been using LFO or Volume Shaper, and it works. And doing that, I don't know. For me, the whole like, even when I know people that use like dummy clips to do their sidechain
keying or whatever.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to be bothered if I'm changing my drum programming to do it again to check it. Like, I want to be able to listen as I'm changing and have it work.
Right.
So that's why I like doing that. And like just using in Ableton, just using like, if you rack your instrument or sampler with your drum sample in there and use an external instrument, and you just route it so it's getting the MIDI and it's just going to this device. You know?
Right.
And then it works great, and I haven't had any issues with it yet. That's at least doing it in Ableton, doing it in Cubase. All the stuff that I did in there was with LFO Tool.
Okay.
And then with that was fucking annoying, but at least by that time I was all in audio and the
Right,
song was written.
everything was printed. You were, yeah.
But I had to go through every single hit, every single kick and snare hit, and put the MIDI note.
Really?
Every single time, yeah. I mean, it made like a folder with all of them, and because I was sending them to so many tracks,
right?
To all, basically everything but the drums or the vocals.
Right.
It was getting sidechained. I had like 8 or 9 sidechain MIDI channels that were just being routed to those things. And with that, which was really awful, was if I ever changed it, like I would have to then duplicate it to the next.
Couldn't you say him to send MIDI channel to all of them?
Not in Cubase.
Really?
Yeah, you could do it with audio. You could do it with like the direct outs or like with the send. You get 8 or I think.
But you can't set the input for whatever receiving plugin to be MIDI 1 or whatever you're doing?
No. So it's direct to the track and then it hits it.
Oh, that's annoying.
Direct to the track, and then if any of the tracks have MIDI input, then you select that.
Okay.
But yeah, it was. It just wound up being a big pain in the ass, and I just send everything that's being sidechained to one channel. It's called sidechain,
right?
And life is good.
And you spend
still sounds the same.
Huh?
At least I think it does. I don't fucking know.
If
I work through it like that, like no, in reality though, like I kind of work through it, and if something sounds wrong, then it is wrong. If it sounds right, then it is right.
That's right. Like, no, totally. Try doing it in the audio. Like you're gonna have to send your stuff out to Cubase probably to do it. But
with Cubase, you have batch fade, which is kind of amazing,
right?
And I think we're supposed to get it in 10, but we don't know.
We have that in Pro Tools, so whatever. But
dude, I miss using tools sometimes because I used to do that. Like I used to try and stem stuff. Anytime I did vocals for anything in them Lost Boys, or even some of the stuff for Not Sorry. Although everything with Not Sorry so far has been either like given to me and it was already a done thing, or it's a sample, or it's just like me,
right.
Just making some noise into a microphone and trying to make it not sound like me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like tools is, as far as a tape machine goes, that's the one. Like if you're doing any tracking, anything,
tracking, yeah, there's nothing that touches it.
I mean, as far as like that was the first DAW I started trying to make tunes in.
Really?
Yeah. So like I started. First time I ever was in a real studio was in. It was all tape machine.
Yeah.
And I was probably 17 at the time. I was like second assisting just because I was there for a buddy's band when they were recording, because one of their friends was going to NYU, and that was his like project or senior project or whatever it was. Right. And so he's like, "Oh, record a band," and like they came in, and I was like doing little bits. And I was like, "This is so cool! I need to know how to do this for myself." Like just being as a musician, playing in bands. I was like, I want to know what everything does. But in that situation, I was like keeping timesheets, like where do we punch in? What's this? Like little things like that. Setting up mics, not placing them because I knew nothing.
Right.
And but then like we took all of that and we brought it into Pro Tools free. With the bass player.
I remember that, yeah.
He was like, he's like, you can have 8 tracks. He's like, you can rock in here. And then eventually I made my way to using, actual Pro Tools and in real studios. But like using that got me into, making poor man sequencers, is what I used to call it. Like, take drum hits and, record things out of keyboards, and try and like chop them. And this was probably in like 2005. Or so, and then doing a little bit of Reason Rewire, but not much. I tried messing with Ableton, but wasn't fully aware of what I could or couldn't do with it. Well, at that point, though, I had listened to so many different weird, glitchy records, like between Kid 606 and
right on, yeah,
and like Aphex Twin and Squarebusher. I was like listening to those things, and I was like, I can't think of how to ever even. How did somebody think to make a record like this?
Right.
Because I listened to it and it sounds like a piece of music to me. It's like, it sounds like this amazing thing. And it didn't even click to me at the time that I was like, yo, these dudes probably weren't, because even listening to stuff from years before, like they're not using supercomputers. Like, you think about it now, like what we can do in a computer versus.
No. I mean, this is the mid 90s.
Yeah.
No.
And the stuff that they were doing is just this mind blowing thing. And how it all works together, and it's so perfect in its way, the way it flows. Like, and in a way not being able to see it. Mm-hmm. You know, like you get so used to seeing it rather than looking at it.
You had your Akai sampler with your breaks loaded into it, and you know your SH-101, and that was it. You know,
well, and then I got really big into the MPC.
Yeah,
and it just came from working in a hip hop studio.
Yeah,
you know,
that
like,
makes sense. Yeah.
Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, like we're sampling, we're doing this," and that got me more into DJing, and like I don't know, just the whole process of that and learning that really made me have an appreciation for when people did the records like they used to. I mean, I still think of like, I gotta incorporate some of that crazy glitched drum work and glitched everything.
Yeah.
There's a dude Frequent who out of Denver who's really crazy, and I know he likes to stem his shit and like chop it in certain ways.
Sure.
Where like basically you've written half your tune, and then by the second drop you can really get into fine editing,
right,
and make crazy shit. But like even that, like the way that he does it, like it's all so smooth, and it feels, I don't know, it feels like it's something that like the individual does in their own way, and it's specific to them. Like no matter what, nobody's going to be able to do it the way that they do.
Well, ideally, that's the goal.
Yeah, I know. I was always chasing what they were doing, and then I found my way into kind of where I am now. But like,
yeah.
I think when I started out, it was always chasing the most fucked up, crazy shit I ever heard.
Yeah, I think we all do that when you're younger, though, because you just feel that necessity to prove something.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean that goes back to like the flexing thing. Like,
yeah.
Like I just want to prove that I'm like I'm worthy to stand here. Like, can I at least put a? I don't need to put a flag, but at least a little
like
pillar
every now
or
and
an
then,
umbrella.
Like, I mean, I know I'm guilty of that shit, and then I'll listen back to a record I had just done 2 months ago and just think that whole section of stupid glitch shit was really unnecessary.
But, I don't know. It isn't. It isn't. I think there's because again, you're making a piece of art that at a time it speaks to you. You are putting this out there, like that's the thing that motivated you. When a painter probably, I don't know, because I was never an actual painter. I like drew, but you paint a painting and like that's that. Like you're not like, oh, I got to go back and fix those hi-hats in that painting, or whatever the relationship would be, like those trees, those happy trees.
Yeah, sure, the happy trees.
Those were Bob Ross's happy trees.
Yeah,
hi-hats.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But I don't know. You do stuff that is pretty incredible with spacing. That anytime I hear it, I'm always just trying to wrap my head around it, and then I'm like, wait, but he's using all this analog gear. Fuck, I got to get back into it.
I mean,
fucking
it's like gear's part of it, but it's not, like gear is just how I like to express what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, no amount of gear is going to change how my brain works.
That's true. That's a really good point. I think a lot of younger producers would probably benefit from that type of mindset and information.
Well, I think the thing is too, and they're kind of fucked in a way, because a lot of the role models that they have in front of them are purely in the box, Ableton Live guys, click your notes in.
I don't think that's bad though, because like I kind of went through it all, and like that's the thing, at least for me, that like made so much sense. Like as somebody who understood, I took music theory, somebody who got how to do it, but I never had the classical training of sitting at a piano.
But you played bass in a band, you've done the live thing.
Yeah, you get how to riff off of people. And,
and the jamming thing, and I think...
I wish I could jam with a laptop.
And, well, you kind of can, but I think there's really something special about being able to touch an instrument and just feel the string bend underneath your fingertips.
Yeah.
And the way you want to transpose that to drum programming, or playing it, singing, whatever, just tweaking knobs on a synth, just having a tactile approach to being really like humanly expressively. Or human expressive.
Because I think if you and I sat at a keyboard or a modular or anything,
right,
I may turn a knob a little less or a little more than you would, and we would be like, "That's the feeling," and then you're turning it, and you're like, "No, that's the feeling to you," or to me, it's
and I think it's so much easier to find individuality in that and your own character, because there's an emotional response when you bend a string, or how hard you hit a piano key, whatever. Like it's it's your own emotional interpretation of how you want something to sound.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is often lost in the digital age, and not because of necessity. I feel like it's lost just because of ease, because everything's potentially given to you, be it pre-made loop packs or Ableton Live stretching everything the way you want it to be immediately when you throw it in, or whatever. I think a lot of the discoveries of creation have been left behind by just the sheer nuance of technology. And
yeah, that's for sure.
And there's strengths to that, of course.
I know for myself, like doing so much dubstep where it's like it's a bit simpler approach, at least for me, because I don't know, I listen to so much of that, but I also listen to so much drum and bass, which is so technical.
Yeah.
But the approach to them, where with dubstep, I know when I'm making sounds, I'm keeping it as an instrument. I'm keeping it MIDI. I want to be able to do certain changes that I'm comfortable with. But with doing drum and bass, I spend so much time making a sound and then putting it to audio, and then noodling with that sound, and then making that to audio, and then doing the proper resampling approach.
I mean, that's the whole process of drum and bass entirely.
And I definitely get a different result.
It's a different sound.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And like when I try, it's the hardest thing as somebody who does both, I think, is, as Des McMahon says, not making fast dubstep, which is really true. Cause like a lot of times I want to do something, but then in my head, I'm like, no, like that's like kind of that approach to it. Or
just, you mean like the sonic approach of each genre is that much different?
Yeah. 100%. Like doing stuff. And also, your groove is very set in kind of both worlds, but you have a lot of room to play with on each side. Right. Like with dubstep, because of the amount of space you have, you can really play into that. But for me, one thing I'm trying to do more, and I've tried to do in the past, I haven't released any of it, but is play with space at a faster tempo. Yeah. Which can be really tricky because it all moves so fast.
Yeah. Well, I found also, like, when I've done drum bass beats, what I'm gravitated towards is never having the snare. Like, there might be a snare on 2, but then the second snare isn't on 4, or vice versa. Like, it's always like like, if I'm gonna have that snare on, the second beat, then the second snare after that measure is going to be on the end of 2, or on the end of 4. I'm sorry.
You got to at least give me a 16 or a 32 at the second half to mix out.
Well, so there's going to be like, so there's going to be a snare on the end of 4, and there'll be a ghost note snare on the E, one E end, on the E of 4. So it's always like the boom ka boom ka, or something like that.
So it feels a bit more breaky.
Yeah, well, that's why I love breaks. Yeah. And like, so my favorite kind of like drum bass beats also are, if you look back, because I mean, what got me into drum bass was Aphex Twin and Square Pusher. So that was like the really like, I mean, it wasn't chopped and screwed now as we know it, but like at the time when it was like really just cut up and rearranged breaks in ways that were physically unplayable.
Dude, a lot of that stuff, when I listen to it, I'm like, now, especially now as somebody who DJs a lot, like, I don't know how you would mix those records. I listen to them as a piece of music, as a body of work, as like somebody doing a composition.
Well, that's
and
what they are.
And I would take it in.
They weren't made as dance records.
Yeah.
They were made as expressionism of what Tom Jenkinson or Richard James were trying to make at the time. It wasn't made to beat a dance floor.
Dude, I've seen Square Pusher a handful of times and brought friends, and every time they're like, I don't get it. What are we doing here? Why are we here? Like, and I'm like, no, you don't get it. Like, you don't get it. Like, but it's this wild thing. And like, when you listen to what's going on in the productions and what he's doing, and as a live thing, it may not translate right. I'm like, just sit down.
Yeah.
Just sit down and listen. Like, you're not trying to dance. Like, it's not like you're going to see a DJ here.
No.
Like, you're going to listen. Like, they might as well put chairs out. Like,
Yeah.
because you're taking in this thing.
This is an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even with breaky stuff, like all the Dillinger stuff,
Yeah, exactly.
like, I mean, all that shit. Like, because I feel like he had that great hybrid mix of enough of one side, but with big bass lines and really pushing it and really making stuff that people could fucking groove to. I mean, my girlfriend loves it.
Yeah.
Like, and I always, she shares my Spotify, and every now and then I'll see like that pop up or like Calyx on TV and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. She's sweet.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that actually because Rupert Fotek. So like he used to write a lot in D minor, but
so low.
No, it's high. It's high. You can't. So most clubs, like sound systems, they won't reproduce the low D. They'll reproduce the high D. Where they get cut off is an F.
But F hits so well.
Right. F hits so well. That's about as low as you can go. That's like 22 hertz, 26 hertz, somewhere around there. The D is gone because the D is a minor third
isn't
below
F like
that.
40 something?
Yeah, so cut that in half.
Oh, okay. So even going lower.
Yeah. That's why the lowest tunes are usually an F, although now some are pushing E, which that's a different discussion. But so Fotek and I, and Calyx and T and Matt, we were all talking, and Twelfth Planet too, we were all talking about this on the first one because so many Dillinger's tunes were in G.
Really?
And G, just like that is, it's such a good resonance in a club, and that's why they sound so good.
Are you sure it's G and not F?
Some of them are F, but a lot are in G. And
Crazy.
G often sounds better than F, depending on what system you're on.
Damn.
Yeah.
I know in my room F sounds the best. In my studio. If I try to do something like an F sharp, like it's all of a sudden like, where's that? Where did the low one go? What's going on?
Yeah. Well, that might be a note in your room.
Yeah. My room's like half fucked half of the time.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm always moving stuff. But funny enough though, the Bapier remix was in E flat, and I know that sub just like steamrolls through places.
It might be the harmonics you have in it, not the actual root note itself.
Shout out Distortion.
I'm gonna have to edit this now. Most clubs go to 45 hertz. Really? Mm-hmm. Well, that makes sense.
Our bartender just alerted us.
Yeah. Most clubs go to 45. That's disappointing. Mm-hmm. I used to, Telephone Tel Aviv used to have in their rider, no high pass filter allowed.
Rob Swire. The rider has to go down to like 37 or 40 hertz.
Really?
I feel like if you have something like that in your rider, it's probably not as like a dick move or anything. It's more of, you need to get a sound system that's proper.
I don't think it's a dick move at all. I think it's like to hear our music and the way it's supposed to be heard. You need to hear a low end.
Yeah, I mean, you're putting on a thing. Like Eric Prydz, like he carries everything with him. Like he's giving you a show.
Yeah.
Like he's spent all this money on the visuals. He wants you to experience the show. Excision spent all this money to put together this amazing thing, which is still to date, I think, one of the craziest things I've ever seen. His last tour, The Paradox. Like just how high def every single element is between the music and the visuals and the seamless cut between his booth and the wall behind him, and it's like putting that into a show. It makes you feel like you're at a spectacle. Like you don't feel like this isn't a club. Like you are at something that you can easily pay some good money. You should pay good money to see because everybody put time into this. Everybody made this thing an experience.
I've never seen him play ever.
Shout out.
Experience is the knowledge or mastery of an event or subject gained through involvement in or exposure to it.
Thanks, Siri. No, you shouldn't.
Wow.
I didn't even catch the Siri thing. It just said experience and it just clicked on. It was stoked.
That was very iRobot.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Australian Siri for the win.
Australian
male Siri. Way more fun.
I think I have British woman Siri. I could be wrong. I don't really know how to use Siri. So
The only thing I tell it to do is set a timer for cooking food, cooking eggs, or my laundry.
So if I try to do that, so what? I hold the button. I say set timer for.
You do that, or I just yell at it, "Hey Siri."
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work for me. So I'm going to hold the button. I'm going to say, "Hey Siri, do this."
Yeah, and then mine picked it up.
Hey Siri, mine didn't.
Oh, he thought so. A lot of times, if you tell him to set a timer for 3 minutes, he says, "Make sure you don't overcook that egg."
Really?
Yeah, because that's how long it takes to poach an egg.
Okay. Hey Siri, set a timer for 3 minutes. Oh, what the fuck? Comes up with a menu that like turn on Siri or don't use Siri.
Oh, okay. Wait, you try mine.
No, I want to do it with mine, so I'm going to turn it on. Some things you can ask me. Should I bring an umbrella? Play the hottest U2 tracks. Wow.
Why U2?
Apple and U2.
Can
Set
it be
a timer
play the
for
hottest
3
Meshuggah
minutes.
tracks?
I can't set a timer for a specific time. Should I set an alarm instead?
No. Have her set it.
No.
Set a timer for
Okay,
3 minutes.
I won't set it.
Set a timer for 3 minutes.
Okay, I started a 3-minute timer. Don't overcook that egg.
There we go.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's like the perfect time to poach an egg.
Really? Like what heat level?
You just get the water, like, so in just a shallow pan, you do.
Or like if you're
You get it
poaching
boiling?
it? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Get it boiling. Use a little, like, crack the egg into a small little cup.
Yeah.
Get it boiling, and then once it's boiled, like rolling boil,
Yeah.
you just pour it in. Don't use vinegar. Everybody's like, oh, use vinegar to poach your eggs, but then it's disgusting. I pour it in and then put a little bit of salt on it, and it kind of like circles around the salt.
Yeah.
And then, then you're perfect for avocado toast.
Of course. I never poach them.
Really?
No, I always just, I do like sunny side up or I scramble them.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, the yolk and everything, it's good. It adds that velvety texture.
Well, I like a really runny yolk.
Yeah, no, with poaching it, with doing it like this, you should be good.
That's why I always do sunny side up. Because I want a little bit of crispy, but I want like runny and crispy with some like vegetables or whatever.
If I'm doing a burger, I'll do sunny.
Yeah.
But the chef, who's the head chef from Momofuku? He's like, if you could put a fried egg on it, do it. He's like, I'll put it on anything.
Oh my God, a fried egg makes everything better.
Everything.
And bacon.
Who is it?
Choi or something?
I don't know. I'm not sure what his name is.
I don't know.
But yeah, fried egg and bacon on anything. Who's the dude? Duff from the cupcake place. It says bacon is the kitchen bondo.
Yeah.
You fix anything with it.
That's really funny. Oh man. Yeah, I love it. Well, shit, man. We're out of beer.
We're 100% out of beer?
No, we got
we got more beer. Let's keep talking.
We got a growler save. We got a timer that's about to go off in about a minute.
Is that the egg timer?
Yeah, it's the egg timer. You're an egg. You're done.
No, I'm not done. I'm just getting started.
What's next for you?
I got a release on Friday coming with Des McMahon.
Okay.
It's a tune coming on Viper Records on the Bass Rush compilation.
All right.
With a lot of amazing, legendary people that I'm just lucky as fuck to be beside their names even.
Who else is
let
on
alone
it?
beside their music. People like that, especially that I look up to, like Calix and TB. It's really cool.
Are they on that comp? Mm-hmm. Oh shit.
Yeah, so
right on.
So I'm super stoked for that. And then Keen and I, Wild Boys, we just finished a remix for Pegboard Nerds and Quiet Disorder.
Okay.
And then got another one for.
This is why I had that shit turned off.
Another one for your egg. No, then him and I also have a
My
remix.
egg is done. Yeah.
A remix for Nightmare and Ghastly coming out. Just had the one that Des and I did for Kian for Wild Boys and Eliminate. That one just came out on Play Me. Followed by more drum and bass and more dubstep.
Right.
And then who knows what's going to happen after that.
So with the drum bass versus dubstep thing, because this is interesting, because I feel like one is where your heart lies, and one is cooler or more popular.
I think I really love doing both. I love playing both. I love playing both out. I have so much fun doing both.
Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to do when I started doing the Not Sorry project was be able to incorporate neurofunk and dubstep in both worlds.
Right.
And I think so far I've been able to. And I think that I need to push it more.
Yeah.
I think anything, I don't know, anything
so.
to push yourself, but
I think you should too, only because from what I know of the Not Sorry brand, if it will, it's dubstep. Like, I mean, you have a couple like DMB things here and there.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like, it's known as dubstep. Yet you're also so good at making drum and bass.
Oh, thank you.
So that's what, that's what's interesting about it. And, from a not dubstep enthusiast, like, I like some of it, but I'm just not, I don't keep up with it.
Yeah.
You can hear the difference, I think, when you do a dubstep record versus a drum and bass record. And I think there's more heart in the drum and bass record.
I'm glad. I like to. It's nice to hear that because there, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears go. I mean, it goes into all of it. But I definitely spend a lot of time when I make a drum and bass record because it's so specific to what I like. This thing I have in my head.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ever take away from the dubstep that I do because I love it so much.
Sure.
And I love headbanging and I love the I don't know, the vibe and the energy that I feel from it whenever I play it, or, when I make a tune and I can see somebody react to it,
right,
and I can get that energy. But, I don't know, I guess I have this thing for drum and bass because it is that thing that planted the seed.
Right.
It is that thing that got me pushing to where I am now. And it's always that thing that is pushing me forward, especially in the sound design. I think the whole drum and bass world is a bit more removed from the fuckery of a lot of the other scene. Like, I don't know. It's like something about it. Like, everybody in the drum and bass world, like, is doing their thing and doing everything that they can to push.
Right. Okay.
No, I don't know. Any drum and bass producer that I know is like never happy with just doing enough or
And
doing like just enough.
I don't think anyone does drum and bass because it's popular
No.
either. They do it because they love it.
Yeah.
And there's a purity in that.
Yeah. It's like, it makes me feel as excited as like when I was a kid and figured out how to like play a thing on the guitar, or, when you figure anything out, like when you get that, at least for me, I don't know, when I make a tune and it clicks.
Yeah.
Like, even my entire last few days have been working on a tune, a drum and bass tune that has been in the works for so many years, and so many renditions of it have like spawned from just like a bunch of sound design days to like writing it this way, and then like chopping a lot of it away and writing it again, chopping a lot of that away, writing it again, and then to where it was almost done, and then chopping it away and then writing it. And I think it's amazing now.
Right.
But like, it's still just like, it's not clicking there in my head yet. And I feel like a lot of people that you could play it for like a friend or whoever, and they're like, oh no, this is fucking sick. But like, when it clicks for me is when I'm jumping around the studio, when I'm fucking so amped. I'll go and grab any person. I'll grab somebody off the street if I'm walking my dog. Like, I'm like, come here, listen to this. Like, you need to hear this thing right now.
Right.
And at least with the drum and bass tunes I've done, that's how I felt with them. Like, and with all of them, it was like I had this thing in my head that I worked really hard at getting out. And it may not have been the most amazing, perfect, sonic, whatever the fuck, but it was like the idea and the way I wanted to feel came out of it.
Got it.
With dubstep, every time I mean, I think with any tune that I do, it kind of touches on that. But with dubstep, I might catch it earlier.
It's more technical.
No, I think with drum and bass, it's more technical in some ways. With dubstep, it's like I can have more. I feel like I put more melodic emphasis and songwriting into that, whereas with drum and bass, I put more sound design and being able to like write a hook with a bass line.
Interesting. Okay.
Where I feel more free to do, like different chord changes or throw more chords and like a lead line or, like a guitar riff. Like, and I say that just the way that my brain works with the sound choices I may use.
Consequently, do you find dubstep to almost be more expressive?
No. And I say that just because they're different expressions.
Right.
A lot of the drum and bass that I've done to date has been me in a room post midnight because the world has started to turn off.
Right.
And it's me just going, and I'm expressing everything I can. And in my head, a lot of times when I do drum and bass, maybe I do it the way I do it because I don't in my head think of like, this is going to see the light of day until it hits a point where I'm like, yo, this is really fucking cool. Mm-hmm. I think this could hit the light of day.
Right.
Where with dubstep, I do a lot of that because I know I want people to hear it. And I know, at least in the States, I know I've got a great dubstep fan base here. Like,
right. People
really, really love it. And I love making it. It's so much fun. And I would never want to give up one for the other.
Right.
And like I said before, but I really want to be able to cross both worlds because I know a lot of dubstep fans like drum and bass, but I know a lot of drum and bass. Wait, did I say that right? I know a lot of dubstep fans like drum and bass, but a lot of drum and bass fans fucking hate dubstep.
Yep.
Some don't, and I want to be able to cross those lanes and do both because I feel both.
I think the association between the two is why that fan base hates it. Because I think if we backtrack, like let's go back 10 years and what dubstep was at the time.
Like more wobbly. Like
you had like Code 9, you had Burial.
Or like Caspa and like Chasing Status I mean literally 10 years ago is when I started hearing that shit.
Yeah.
And my buddy Jesse was like, yo, listen to this. And he played me a couple records. One of them was Eastern Jam.
Yeah, I remember that record.
Status.
Oh man.
And I remember being in the studio with him and I was like, what the fuck is this? He's like, dubstep, bro.
Yeah.
And I was like, who goes to these shows? What the fuck? This is insane.
But I think it makes sense too, based on what we were saying, because I don't even know what the fuck I said.
Step a dub.
Yeah, whatever. Dubstep, go back 10 years ago, was much more derivative of drum and bass.
Yeah, it was totally pulled from there. A lot
more sampling, the drum samples, everything.
But even like filtering down a Reese, but giving it a wobble.
Yeah, exactly. It was very drum bass inspired, and it wasn't till really, I mean, to his credit, Skrillex came around
100%
with his version of it, and that changed the face of dubstep as we know it.
I mean, what he did that was so cool, and I was lucky enough to work with somebody who was so fucking classically trained that he could sit and I'd play him Skrillex records and he'd break them down on the piano and be like, yo, this is a really fucking good song. And it's like when you hear all those songs just played on the piano when they were coming out and you're like, whoa, like what is this dude doing?
Well, and that's why he is the outlier in the millions of fucking copycats who tried to do the Skrillex sound. He's a musician. He's not. He wasn't some kid fucking clicking away at his laptop.
I think that's what's the coolest thing, and I always try and tell people that when they're like, "What should I do if I want to get into production?" And especially if they're like familiar with Skrillex or anything, I'm like, "Yo, with the core of all of his tunes, they're really good songs. He wrote a really awesome song, and if you take anything, like even a lot of the stuff that I've done, Hit Rewind Remix, all done on a piano."
Yep.
Every single note of that song was done on a piano and then instrumentized.
Yep.
What was it? What did we fucking end up calling it? Zero. Keen and I. The whole thing we did on a piano. We wrote chords. wrote melodies, wrote everything, and then instrumentized it. Like, you do that, all of a sudden, you write a really cool song. You're like, because if it's a really fucking cool song and you feel sick, like you feel that way when you were 12 or 13 years old listening to a Metallica record, but you're hearing it just on a piano.
Yep.
And you're like, this is really cool. Hear this. But it's a piano? Like, all of a sudden, you know you've got a cool song. Then it's just a matter of instrumentizing it.
Yep.
I find that harder to do in drum and bass just because of the structure and the way it is. Maybe if I did more liquid, I could do that. But
you could. I mean, it's more sparse instrumentally, certainly. But if you go back to like, you know, the Alex Perez thing, like we were talking about earlier, again, you got a piano and maybe you have a pad, you got a bass and you got drums, and then you have a vocal sample.
Yeah.
But
the way that with him,
the arrangement of it is brilliant.
And the way things move in and out of each other. I mean, at that point, I think he's just so good with engineering and with,
there's an engineering side of it too, but because I think a lot of it is his, you know, sonic selection as far as what he's choosing to record. Because I think he records a lot of his own samples. Like, he's recording his own shakers in front of a microphone and, you know, his own rim shots and whatever. But if you look at it purely from a frequency range, you know, of spectrum of what he's recording, he's doing his shakers, and those are going to take the high end. He's doing a rim shot, or not really a clap. He doesn't really use like actual snares very often. So it's going to be something that's, you know, pretty high mid-rangey with not a lot of treble. And then you have a kick drum. So already there's not a lot of mixing involved because nothing is taking up the same space as another frequency spectrum.
See, and I learned that from somebody, from this dude Wayne that I worked with for a long time. And we would be sitting working on records. We were doing a lot of pop stuff at this point, but he was always like, yeah, it needs something in this space.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, oh, I need to put a bell in here. It was like, no, I need to fill this frequency range.
Yeah, I need something at 2K.
Yeah, exactly. And when you write records like that, it's like you get this whole...
And that's why pop records are really hard to mix. Because it's like, usually, at least for, you know, like modern pop records, it's full frequency all the time.
Yeah, wall of sound.
So you have, you know, your vocal, which is hitting it around 2K, essentially in the same space as 6 other fucking instruments all at the same time. You know, and you have, you know, your pads, you know, there's like the harmonica, the bass guitar, your electric guitar, your drum. Like, it's difficult in trying to balance that. And that's why I think also R&B records usually sound better.
Especially trying to write it for a vocal without having a vocal. Like, doing a lot of the pop stuff that I had done, like, it's a whole different world when you think about that, trying to write stuff. I mean, and now, with as much writing as I do without a vocal, I'm so used to filling in that gap because I'm not a singer.
Right.
You're not always in the room with the great singer.
Right.
And with dance tunes, you're trying to kind of make a vocal with an instrument. And I think that's good and bad. Mm-hmm. But you get less of a crossover with producers that can go from being a dance record producer to being a pop producer.
Yeah, there are a few crossovers.
You get some dudes that totally fucking get it, and like, you know, but it's few and far between.
Sure, like the Gray Guys, and of course, like people like Calvin Harris, but if you
Kyle, though, fucking just hats off to Kyle and Michael, like with Greg dudes. Yeah.
But I mean, they were pop in the first place, you know, not like looking beyond their dubstep roots.
I mean, they were always amazed by really amazing songwriting.
Yeah,
they always wanted to make something that moved somebody, make a song. It wasn't about sound design. It wasn't about making the coolest drop. It was always about making a really, really, really good song.
Which is funny because, I mean, Kyle's early stuff.
The Singularity.
Yeah, the Singularity stuff. Like, at the time, I mean, that was still like peak dubstep era. And, you know, he was pretty on the mark as far as...
100%.
You know, pretty like forward-thinking dubstep programming, sound design, mixing at the time. And it's interesting to hear him go from that into... It's obviously a more mainstream approach. And the production remains. but you can hear it still early in the songwriting obsession.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, well, I mean, Kyle came up, like, you know, as a metal guitar player.
Yeah.
Like, he was really big into Dream Theater.
no shit.
Huge. Oh, my God. Yeah, Kyle's a shredder.
Did we talk? Did him and I can't remember if him and I talked about that. Because, I mean, I was way into Dream Theater also.
Yeah, super into Dream Theater. And just, like, that whole world. And
The virtuosity thing and all that.
I got into, like, Satriani and, like, Jordan Rudess and, like, their whole thing and what they did. And, or it was not Joe Strummer. No, he's a... No.
Well, Rudess Dream Theater, Satriani was Satch, but then Petrucci was Dream Theater.
Yeah, Petrucci. Yeah. And yeah, like that was his world, but then found it into dubstep, and then got even more enamored at and just obsessed with writing the coolest, most hooky, not hooky actually, writing the most like catchy but interesting songs,
right,
that weren't the same shit everybody else was doing.
Right.
Which was really cool. And that's, I mean, all the stuff that he's been doing is really, really, really interesting to me. I mean, watching him and Michael do all of those early records.
As Gray? Or
as Gray, yeah. Like when they first started it, when he was, because he was living with me.
Right.
They both were. I mean, Michael was coming up from SoCal and they were just living there, working all day. And then we'd all, you know, everybody in the house would get together and be like, okay, like, you know, like we'd like kind of share records with each other. And then it was drink a bunch of cheap ass wine and beer and play Super Smash Bros.
You know, I laughed really hard because like that night we were all at your place. And he's a big deal now. And he came back with a bottle of Barefoot.
Yeah, he don't care. Kyle, I think that's one of the best things about Kyle is he gives no fucks. Like he's like, yo, I like this shit. Like this is my jam.
I saw that like,
although I expected him to come back with a bottle or a box of Franzia.
Really?
Because that was a big thing for a while. We were always drinking Franzia, and I never even knew about Franzia. Like,
yeah.
I was like, okay, give me some whiskey. Like, you know, it'll be good. But he's like, hey, try Franzia. Because I like red wine. And I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, we had our Franzia.
But he's dirt cheap. He's like, yo, on a dollar for dollar basis, we're getting like twice or three times as fucked up. I was like, you got to point, man.
I mean, I had my Franzia days in college, but that I'm happy to let that live 10 years ago and never go back to that.
Yeah. I see. I never even had that in college. In college for me, it was, okay, let's get a bottle of Everclear. And then 2 days later, you forgot how you got that first bottle, and then you're getting it again.
See, we had the store down the street from Berkeley called Choice Mart, and they had a 3 for $10 special of this Tisdale wine. It was just cheap California wine, but you get, it was like a Merlot, a Cabernet, and a Chardonnay or something like that. And I don't think there were any other options. But dollar for dollar.
Yeah.
3 bottles of wine for $10 was the best deal you could get, like way beyond PBR or anything like that.
And if you get a bottle of wine in college, girls were like, oh, he's fancy.
Oh, we didn't.
He's educated. We like this guy.
I mean, I don't know if they thought that. If
I'm drinking out of a Fruitopia thing, looking like I'm falling over, like I'm a little less sophisticated than you with your bottle of $3 wine.
My $3.33 wine. Yeah, but the trick was you drink 2 of them. And then you black out. Yeah.
I fell asleep in my fair share of bushes.
And then you don't remember yeah, exactly. You don't remember anything after that.
Yeah, my homegirl Allie fucking definitely put me to bed several times. Like, yeah, here, Aunt, get there, you're good.
Yeah, I never had one of those, man. It was like me and my 2 best friends, and we'd just be walking down fucking Commonwealth Ave from Alston and Boston all the way back to like the South End. And just like realizing it's 12 degrees outside, and we've worn hoodies. So in order to make the walk, we're gonna have to drink more. Yeah. Because by drinking, we wear an extra jacket. Yeah. So that became the thing. Like drink an extra jacket on, and then we can leave. Yeah. That was a bad time. See, I was lucky. I was lucky in Soho to have my favorite bar around the block from my place. Yeah. They had a fireplace,
and we would just chill in there. It was a dark room. It was it was the other room or it was one of the rooms that is in New York.
Right.
And they have them here in LA now. Or I think their first ones were here. I don't know, whatever. But it was a wine and beer bar. And so they had all amazing beers on tap, wild beers in cans or bottles.
Yeah.
And even if there was a point in time where I wasn't even drinking beer, and I was like, I would go in there and get ginger beers, but like all of us would hang out in there. Like I'd go outside and like smoke some pot, and like we just knew everybody. But it was a block from my place, so even in the snow, you just like you truck it home and you're good. Like,
no, we didn't have, because in fucking Boston, all public transportation is gone at midnight. And we're going to college parties in Alston, where it's people like having bands and a keg, and
But at least there was public transportation. I mean, in LA, what do we got? I take the bus though. Shout out LA Metro.
There wasn't Uber yet.
Giving me great times,
dude. We didn't have Uber yet.
I mean, I take the bus though. I don't even take Uber all the time.
There was no bus. It was like after midnight, you're fucked.
Oh, there was no bus even.
You walk.
Oh, yeah, we couldn't do that.
Right. You can try to get a cab, but there aren't enough cabs. So you eat shit and you walk.
I mean, when I first moved to LA, like from Santa Monica to Hollywood, I think it was $60-something a cab ride each way.
Yeah, totally.
Brutal.
No, Uber.
And you had to wait 30 to 40 minutes for it to show up if it did.
Yeah. I mean, Uber changed everything. And I remember the first time I saw Uber was like 5 years ago. I was in San Francisco. And a friend of mine who, they all like, all my Berkeley friends, like they all work at Apple now, which is kind of funny. And they all work in like the music department. So of course they're hip to all the tech shit coming out all the time. And I'm like, oh, we got to go to the club right now. And, I'll just call an Uber. What the fuck's an Uber? Just pull up this app, and like 15 minutes later, like Alexa Sedan shows up. I was like, oh, that was $20 just to get there? Oh, this is cool. And this, Uber X hadn't become there was no Uber X yet. It was just
Uber. Was just Uber.
Yeah, you had an Uber black car or you had an SUV. And it was, wow, this is nice. And
at that moment, you're like, this is the future.
Well, it was. And then it was great because then promoters started using that. So you always had a black car wherever you're going.
Yep.
And then Uber X came out. And then now a lot of the times, like coming back from a gig, I'll get an Uber X driver. And I've had okay ones. And then I've had very not okay ones. And now that's led me to the point after the past few weekends where I actually have my rider now. There's no Uber X.
That's a good idea.
Like, if you're going to use, like, get a car service, but if you're not, it's going to be Uber Black. Only because this is work.
Yeah,
this is not
they'll
like,
leave you alone.
I'm not going out to a club. I just got off a fucking 12-hour flight. I'm not trying to, what do you do? How's your life? Like, I'm wrecked. I want to get to my hotel room. I want to go to sleep so I can go to the club and I can perform and then go back to the hotel and sleep and then go fly again the next day.
Yeah.
So that's been a recent change in my life.
I was lucky enough to get an Uber X once, and it was a Porsche, one of the sedans. Yeah, it was like a $6 ride in one of those. It was one of the most comfortable cars I've ever been in.
Dude, you know what's fucking crazy?
The kid driving must have been 22 years old.
Oh, so he's rich.
It's like his dad's definitely like, yo, get it. You got to pay for gas. You got to do something.
He's got a rich dad who tells me he needs a job. But it's fucking great. Dude, in London, all like the Uber X cars are like BMWs and Mercedes.
Oh, man. We need to, London, send over the word.
You call like a regular Uber X, it's like, oh, it's a fucking Beamer 5 Series. Picking me up in LA, it would be a shitty Prius.
Yeah.
Not a nice Prius, a shitty Prius. Like
90s Prius. The first Prius.
No, there was no Prius in the 90s, but like
or whatever the first one came out.
Like, early mid thousands, but like yeah, it was one of those things like this is not fair.
It's actually a Civic where they scraped off the letters and they wrote Prius on it, so you think you're getting something nice.
Hey man, those fucking things never die. So no, it was like, yeah, every Uber I took in England was like legit a nice Mercedes or a nice BMW.
Yeah, I haven't been to Europe since Uber existed, but I can only imagine. I want to get Uber Scooter then, if I go to Italy or something.
Scuba?
Yeah, Scoober? Does that exist?
Scoot in the
Scoot?
area.
It exists? Oh, that's it. That you take
rent a
that.
scooter.
Yeah,
You don't wanna
yeah.
sit on the back of a scooter with some random dude driving you. Hey, what's up, buddy?
I mean, it depends on the dude. You never know.
All right.
I hope they have that in Egypt for camels.
Uber camel.
Uber camel.
Would you like 2 humps or 3 humps?
Oh my god, how many passengers? Yeah.
My name is Joe. Would you like a cigarette? Oh my god.
Yeah, since the invention of that is really rad. But I mean, I like the whole thing. Like, I've made a lot of good friends getting picked up by like the dude who works for the promoter, or
Yeah.
is some sort
totally.
of way. Like, in San Francisco, or not in San Francisco, in Seattle, made a great friend who I wound up doing a track with that picked me, Ian and I up when I was in them Lost Boys, picked us up, showed us around all of Seattle, picked us up with a huge jar of weed, like, because everything's legal there. It was right
I
after
remember,
everything became legal. And he was like, yeah, like, this is Seattle. Like, where do you want to go? Like, what do you want to do? We're like,
Yeah.
we're exhausted. We need breakfast food. Takes us to this amazing spot. And like, you can actually make
Yeah.
a really good friend. You may not.
No, you know what? And that's true. And I think Uber actually kind of fucked that. Because before everyone started using UberX because it was easy,
Yeah.
if the promoters didn't want to pay for a car service, they would just come themselves. And then I think a lot of my relationships I have with promoters are stronger because of the fact that we used to actually spend time in the car.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even in those car rides, like, say it's, in a lot of other cities other than LA. Well, I mean, LA is kind of actually hard because it takes you a fucking hour to get anywhere.
Yeah.
But in most other cities, like, you're in the car for 30 minutes to an hour. Like, you're
Yeah.
like,
You
hey,
get to know
listen
somebody.
to my tunes. Like, yo, I was just working on this on the airplane. Can I hear it in the car?
And
Like,
the thing is, too, like, when you get off a plane, usually there's no wall up. You're just
Yeah.
done. Like, this is who I am at this moment. Like, no one's putting up a face.
yeah. 100%.
So consequently, I feel like you actually end up building a relationship with somebody, be it a promoter or whomever, that's more honest in nature.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and with that, then you wind up like, oh, like, what are you doing later? Like, do you want to go to dinner? Like,
Right.
Rather than me eat alone.
Or it's like, how about I just take you to dinner right now? And it's like, that sounds awesome, because otherwise I'm going to get room service by myself.
Yeah.
So,
Or if you're in Chicago, you're going to order a $60 pizza.
how often they take me to dinner? It depends on the promoter. It depends on my flight.
Yeah.
I would say a lot of the times I also elect just to get room service because I just don't want to be on. But it depends. If I'm in Chicago, I will always go get dinner with Hyder. Always. Because there's also this death metal burger bar called Kuma's. And their actual location, like the address of their location is 666 West whatever street.
How'd they do that? They've just been just camping out.
I think they were just waiting for it, and they got it. And you walk in, and there's always like a 45-minute wait to get anything. And it's not a big place, but like just to get a 2-person table, it's a 45-minute wait. But they have good beer there. And so, you put your name down, you go, you get a beer, and you wait. Eventually you get a table. They're playing fucking death or black metal the entire time when you're there. And then the waitress comes over and she's in some fucking death metal t-shirt with like skulls. It's all black with like white lettering or whatever, white designs. And all the burgers are named after different metal bands.
That's really cool.
It's amazing. So like they have like an Iron Maiden and, like a Cryptopsy or whatever, but
I want the Meshuggah.
they do not have a Meshuggah. And we should talk to them because I'm going to be there in 3 weeks. I should talk to them about the Meshuggah. But when I had the Neurosis, and that was like a bacon cheeseburger basically with like onion rings or something. I mean, their burgers are pretty intense.
What's it called? 666? Or is it called 666 something?
Kuma's.
Kuma's.
Kuma.
And fuck, their menu, like, we got like a side of like mac and cheese also, because like Hyder's girlfriend wants that shit, so he's like, we'll eat some of it, we'll take it home to her. But the burgers come out, and like the patties alone are like half a pound. Like, you look at this and like, how the fuck am I gonna eat this? You know,
Black metal and blood red.
no. Basically, the way it works out is like both of us, we each eat half of our burgers, wrap up the rest, and take them back to the club. And that one fucking thing, which I ate at 6 p.m., fed me until 4 a.m.
Yeah, definitely. So I haven't spent enough time in Chicago. I was there to play and only spent probably 20 hours there.
I go there, I would say probably twice a year at this point.
I gotta go more because, I mean, anybody I know from there is so in love with the city, and they feel the same as I do about New York.
I would never live there, ever.
I don't even have a frame of reference. I was there and it was cold, but it was awesome.
It's cold.
I need to get the hot dogs. I gotta get the hot dogs.
No, you don't. New York hot dogs. Every time. You know better.
Bro.
You know better. You're a New Yorker.
Hot dogs. LA hot dogs. Or Jersey hot dogs, where they deep fry them.
No.
Rutt's Hut or the Hot Grill.
Get the fuck out of here.
Deep fried hot dogs are the truth.
No. The truth.
I have a hot dog tattoo. I will stand for this.
And you're gonna regret that fucking tattoo.
I will never regret this tattoo.
Yeah, until you have Gray's papaya. Or Papaya King.
I've had them all. I've had all the papayas.
That's the best hot dog.
They're okay.
Bullshit, they're okay.
They're okay.
It's better than Nathan's.
New York City, I love you, but they're okay.
No, you need your fucking papaya drink. You need your hot dog with all the shit on it.
To be fair, when I went to school in New York and would leave class with friends and go get a bottle of rum, go to Papaya King, get a hot dog, and get like a pina colada thing.
Yeah.
And then just like dump out half of it, fill the rest with rum.
No.
And then go back to class. I definitely did a lot of that.
Well, yeah, it's like
sorry, Mom.
It was like
that's why grades were slipping.
It was like, but it was amazing. It was like $2.50 for like 2 hot dogs and the papaya drink.
Yeah, no, dirt cheap, but like
it was like the best.
No, but like I don't know, man. Outside of Avalon in LA,
no,
all those ladies making those bacon wrapped hot dogs,
dude. That shit gets me so sick.
Oh, they're amazing.
No, like it tastes amazing at the moment, and then I get home and it's like, oh my god, I need to lock myself in the bathroom for an hour.
That's a mental thing, I guarantee it, because they're using good hot dogs. I don't know what they're using. I want to know, but
I promise you,
I want to make them at home. They're definitely good.
My stomach is not a mental thing. That is simply like everything you just put in me needs to go out right now. And I don't care which exit point you choose, it's going.
Your stomach makes you go mental.
Yeah, that's true.
We used to get as high as possible. I don't condone this, and drive out to Jersey to get Rutt's Hut or Hot Grill. Rutt's Hut is straight up a fucking truck stop in New Jersey. And you can get a Ripper, an In-N-Outer, or a Weller. And your order was based on how long they held the hot dog in the deep fryer. So you go from Ripper where it's like a little bit exploding to the Weller where it was like totally left in there and it was totally exploding. And then you'd ask for, if you wanted a chili dog, they would say, no. Chili comes on the side because they felt it was so good, it should be ate on its own. But, I mean, I'd put it on the fucking dog.
Yeah, of course.
Dude, that place, and then the Hot Grill, which was like a different style of dropped in a deep fryer hot dog. And I don't know, they put cheese on it, then they had chili sauce, which you dipped it in. Dude,
Passion right there.
Land of the hot dog.
I was all about the chili dog at Nathan's.
Nathan's is great. Nathan's is really good. They actually do a really good Philly cheesesteak.
Oh, dude.
Des is going to fuck me up when he hears this. Yeah, I'm talking about Philly cheesesteaks.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? The best Philly cheesesteaks I've ever had have never been in Philly.
One of my favorites is actually Katz's Deli.
Really?
Yeah. They do it. You get it with provolone cheese. They fucking drop some water on it and throw a tin over the top so it melts everything over it. Their Philly cheesesteak is one of my favorites.
You know, I think I only ever ate Katz maybe twice in my entire life, which is kind of funny.
I ate there a lot. Oh my God. I remember getting sent there on runs for random crazy orders.
Yeah.
I remember first time ever in there was on a run, like as an intern.
Yeah, it makes sense as far as like, picking up food for a studio, that makes sense a lot.
And this one dude who was like a Wall Street dude funding a rapper's project.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, we want to get Katz's Deli for everybody. And I was like, okay. And he was like giving me this giant ass order. And he was like, I want all these pastrami's and all these corned beef sandwiches. I need lots of pickles. And then he was like, I need a few cans of Dr. Brown's Celery.
Right.
The celery drink or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'll go there. And I go in and it's like, it's fucking crazy. It's huge.
It's Katz's Deli, dude.
And I'm like, I don't even know what to do here. And I'm like trying to order. And they just hand you a plate as they're cutting it so that you could taste it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? It's like, fucking eat it. Yeah. Like, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, amazing. And the dude told me to get something while I was there for myself. And I was like, okay, yeah, let me get an extra one of these. Dude, this shit is amazing.
Dude, that's so fucking... You don't get that shit here.
No, you 100%
It bums me.
don't.
And I grew up in that, so I love, where it's like the craziness in the restaurant is like, eat this. Do you like it? Yes? Okay. We're going to give it to you.
Yeah, we're going to give you a whole sandwich of this.
Right.
It's a $15 sandwich, which is really 2 sandwiches.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you could bury people in that sandwich, and... Oh
you could go there. I mean, you go there and you split a sandwich with somebody, and you're both not finishing it.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's amazing.
But it's so good.
And then you come out here, and it's like, can I have a rare burger? And you get something that's like this big, and it's medium, and it's like,
what am I doing with this?
What the fuck? And you send it back, and you get it back, 10 minutes later, and it's like the same shit.
Yeah.
No,
just colder.
Yeah,
they held it there for
they
10
fucking
minutes.
let it sit on the window. No, I miss that, man. It's like it's the food. I always miss the food in New York.
Yeah,
every time.
I miss the food. I miss the friends.
I miss the people.
And I said to you earlier, I miss the Chinese food. I miss the Chinese food so much.
I miss
any time of day, and it was always great.
I miss all the food, and I miss the people, which is for you friends.
Well, I mean, even friends, just like that whole mentality. Somebody said it to me once, and I was like, oh my God, you're so spot on. They're like, people in New York are just walking and fucking doing the thing, and they don't care.
It is what it is.
Where a lot of people in LA are here, and they're like, who's this? Who may this be? Who may this be? And it's like, you get that, it just slows life down just a bit more.
It's just this giant fucking sheen of bullshit in front of everything. It's like walking through the fucking ivory curtain to get into what you want, but that ivory curtain is covered in shit.
Yeah. And to be fair, though, that's why I like drum and bass so much. We went on Thursday to Respect to see Reed and Spy play, and every single person is there because they love the music.
Right. Because you got beyond the curtain of shit.
Yeah.
And that's like the thing. I mean, I love living here because of the amount of artists that are here, and I like the weather and all that. But
love the weather.
The weather's the best.
Shout out the weather.
It's the best weather in the world.
Throwing up the horns for the weather.
I know, right? But you have, once you get beyond that fucking curtain of bullshit, everything opens up.
It took a while to like find a good circle of people, and it's always ever expanding.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
But once I did, I felt more at home here.
Yeah.
I've been here for like 7 years now.
Yeah, I'm on 5. Yeah.
It's like it really does feel like home. It feels like a place I want to live forever.
Dude, it's fucked up. Like when I leave, and I'll feel the need. Like I need to get the fuck out of LA or whatever. Within 24 hours of me being gone, and maybe it's just because I'm cynical. I'm like, wow, I thought I hated LA, but everywhere is worse.
Dude, I mean, even going back and forth, like when my girl was living up in SF, like I really like it there. It's so cool, and
I couldn't live there. It's
enough of like that home vibe in October, because it's always cold. But it's everything's close, so it like feels really good. Like you can get everywhere fast, unlike here.
It doesn't feel like a city to me.
But when I come back, I would get off the plane and be like, okay, yeah. But like as soon as I got home, I'd be like walking my dog and be like, fuck, I really love it here.
Every time.
I really do.
Dude, it's like the minute I fucking like step out of LAX and I breathe like the LA air and it's shitty air. the minute I step out,
it's like good shitty air because it's by the water, but it's all like jet fuel.
Like, I step out of fucking bag claim and I'm like, oh, thank God I'm home.
Yeah,
and I could have just been
really
gone
cool
for 20
place.
hours, and I could have gone to New York. And it's bizarre because like I will always like New York's my
dude. Even coming home, I was there a few weeks ago for a wedding, and like it's still as soon as I got back, even after being there for like 4 or 5 days, I was like, fuck, I'm here for too long. Like I kind of got to get home. Like I'm getting an itch.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a home thing or it's an LA thing. It's just. I think once you ingrain yourself here,
it's an unreal place. It's really cool, and I'm glad I moved here. I always thought I would, even when I was making the decision to. I remember walking up Houston Street with my buddy Angel.
Yeah,
and he was like, "Well, you could go there, and it sucks, and you move back, or you could not go there and never know."
No, you have to know.
And it's like the best decision I ever made. Like coming here, like it opened up my eyes to so many things.
You always have to know.
Met so many people.
Yeah.
Like everything led to where I'm at now.
Yeah, totally.
With everything I do, it's like it's just so cool.
Yeah, I can't imagine living anywhere else aside from like France. And that's
I only spent a week. I've been in Paris for like a week, and it was super cool. I mean, the whole like they've got cheese baguette vendors.
They've got cheese.
They've got fucking cheese baguette vendors. Like New York's got hot dog vendors.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, this is unreal. This is kind of amazing. This is my heaven. Like, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't been there long enough to know whether or not I could live there, or even the time I spent in Italy. Like, I don't know if I could live there. It would be awesome to be there for a long time, I'm sure.
I like the artistic pretentiousness. Like, I feel like I could have my own little house and, my own little southern part of France, and no one would bother me. And I could have, like, me and my life and my person and just create and then drive up to Paris to do whatever I need to do.
Do they have a good, like, drum and bass party? Or
I don't know. They probably do. I mean, they
is there a Space Yacht Paris?
I don't know, but Space Yacht doesn't really do drum and bass.
Once in a while, I did the one drum and bass one.
Right. I've done Space Yacht things before, and they need to. I like the guys. I have a pin. I had a pizza Space Yacht.
I wish I had a space pin.
They gave
space
me
pizza pin.
They gave me one in Austin actually, when the same day you and I met actually.
Yeah,
for
when
the
Rude
first
was
time.
playing.
Yeah, that's right. They gave me one.
I love what they've done. I love the fact that they took such a small idea for a party, which was so low key and raw, and turned it into something that's as massive as it is. It's really, really cool to see that, like, go from nothing to something. Like, I always knew of Control because in New York we had Webster.
Right.
And we had Friday Night there. And to know the counterpart being Avalon and Control and what Chris and JSO have done for that party and built it up from nothing. But I didn't get to see it in the same way. I didn't get to see Control start from nothing. Like, already in my mind, it was like, this is an amazing thing. This is a benchmark of my life to play this thing,
right?
To be involved in this, and it was really cool though to see something start from nothing and build into this thing that it is now, where they don't even have to say who's playing, and the room's packed out.
I mean, it's got a built-in fan base. Yeah.
It's super cool, and I think that's something that our scene needs, and I say our scene like just electronic music and cool electronic music, like underground, trying to do some next shit. Yeah. And I think that's what their vibe is. That's what they're about. trying to bring up those next dudes as well as incorporate with those dudes that have been doing it for a while but are humble enough to
do it.
Yeah, don't put my name on the flyer. No booking fee. I'm gonna come and fucking play.
They don't pay you when you do it.
Yeah, and it's fucking amazing. And everybody still comes out, be it fan or DJ. Like, everybody comes out and they're like, yo, I'll play. I would love to play, which is incredible. Like, I think we need more of that in this scene and more places like that. It's tough for, I think, a lot of people because of where they are now. I think Sound's an awesome venue, but obviously...
Are they doing it at Sound now?
Yeah, so they've been at Sound for a bit, and it's pricey for somebody who's, like, you know, trying to, like, buy cheap drinks.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not.
But it's a venue. They could hold more. It's like, it feels more like a spectacle. Like, it feels like...
Are they packing it out at Sound?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, last time I did it was almost 2 years ago. And
Did you play at the...
They were still like the...
It was the upstairs room.
Yeah, the Aoki, whatever.
Yeah. So it was the back room of Dimmock, the Cinespace.
The Dimmock, yeah. That's where I did it, yeah.
I remember when I went in there the first time, I was like, wait, I'm in like the smoking thing of Cinespace, right? And they're like, yeah. Yeah, that's where I played when we did the Play Me Takeover.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. It was
That's actually
cool.
the first time I met Reed, was there.
How did we not meet?
I don't know if you were there at that time.
I played that time.
No, I did it because... Well, you know what? Actually, I played it, and then I was back there because...
Wait, Reed did the Play Me Takeover.
This wasn't Play Me Takeover.
Oh, okay.
It was DJ Rap's birthday party. And...
so this was a different time.
Yeah, this was a few years ago. And I knew DJ Rap through both Blake Lewis and BT.
Oh, sick.
And but Reed was actually... She was playing Sharissa's birthday party. So, Charissa. God, I said that wrong. I can never get it right, regardless. Anyway.
Dub cut.
Yeah, I know, right? But, but Reed was playing that there, and, like, we knew each, because I had released 2 tracks on Play Me at that point, and we had just known each other via osmosis, but not actually, like, hi, you know, you are a real person.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So that's actually how I think I actually met Reed for the first time in person, was actually at the Dimmack Studios.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Did you know Alex before then?
Yes, but separately and probably not in the same context.
Crazy.
Because Alex, he was working for the headphone company at the time. What the fuck? Odyssey. Yeah, he was working for Odyssey at the time, and I was with TB.
Yeah.
And Alex came over to, like, give him... This was... God, 4 years ago.
Dude, they're like the best of friends.
Yeah. So this was like 4 years ago, and we were in some hotel in West Hollywood, and Alex came over just to, like, bring him, like, the new pair of whatever the Odyssey
whatever's
top of the line models were at the time.
That was probably the X's at that point, or it might have even been the 3s. The X's weren't out then.
I don't know. I just remember, like, Alex came over with, like, this, like, military grade case, you know, and was like, here you go. And, like, T puts them on and, you know, raves about and loves them and whatever. And that was... What are you listening to right now?
I go around in circles. I listen to a lot of different stuff. I listen to old records, like stuff I was saying before, like Take Back Sunday, Blink-182 across the board. Yeah. I really like their new record. But in the dance music world, I try and keep up with what's happening now. I really like the new Zomboy record. But I still go back and listen to every Pendulum record ever because they're amazing. Can't wait for the new one if it happens.
Yeah.
But
is Kevin playing drums on it?
Yeah.
Do you know? Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, he's really stoked.
I love, KJ's awesome.
He's so sick. Oh my God, he's so sick. It's so rad. Like, just to think of like what the records are going to be. Hopefully they're, in my opinion, like the thing I love about all their old records is they're songwriting. And when I listen to them, I'm not like I'm listening to a dance record. I'm not listening to an EDM record.
No.
I'm just like, it feels
it's a
more,
record.
Yeah, that's just produced better than everybody. Like really, really fucking cool.
That's the thing, though. You know, when you take away the production, you make it about the songs first, and then the production ultimately augments the songs. Mm-hmm. That's the magic right there.
That's like what I was saying before. Like you write a dope, crazy song on the piano.
Yeah.
What you put behind it, like to express that, to instrumentize it, can only elevate it.
Yeah.
Well,
Totally.
it can and it can't. I mean, you can put shitty instruments behind it.
You can, but like the way you arrange it changes everything.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I've been listening to Decimal Bass, AMC. I've been listening to a lot more Jump Up, just because it's fun. As far as drum and bass goes,
And you're
it's
using
so
this
fun.
Are you using this research also for your own work?
Yes and no. More so no, because I just like listening to those records because they're so fun.
Because you enjoy it, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of Tantrum Desire, actually. More and more. The new Delta Heavy record, their last one that they did, is so sick. All the Camo Crooked shit is super sick. Their new album's really cool. All the new Matt Zoe stuff, the MRSA stuff, his drum and bass project,
Yeah.
is so sick.
Yeah, his remix of Noisy is great. Yeah.
But even the stuff that he did on their label, super cool. What else? I've been listening to a shit ton of Not Sorry. He's like amazing, I hear. No,
He's kind of a dickhead.
he's the worst. Yeah, like as a human being, he's a fucking god awful person. But never talk to that guy in public.
The last thing, you got to ask Man Hathaway a question.
Man Hathaway has been staring me down for hours and hours.
She's been
and
there,
hours.
or she's been there waiting.
Here's one thing. I've heard you ask a lot of people, like, what's your thing? Like, if you had to, like, the house is burning down.
Yeah.
What's the piece of gear?
Man Hathaway.
Man Hathaway is not a piece of gear.
Duh. Doesn't matter. Man Hathaway.
She will be saved.
That is the most prized possession in this household. Yeah.
I really like that question. I think it's good.
I lifted that from Pensado's place.
Well, you can't say cats. Cats are coming with you, obviously.
Well,
for me, cat and dog are coming with me.
When I did Pensado, that was my answer. They're like, your house is burning down. What will you take? And I said, my cats. And they're like, of course it is. The end.
Yeah, but what about gear, though, like, for you?
I mean, I answered this last week, but my Taylor acoustic. Because there's a lot of sentimental attachment to that. And I just love that guitar. Synth shit, you can rebuy.
I think with acoustic guitars, as one of the guys I came up under, I learned from every single
they all sound different.
acoustic guitar is so different. Like
same acoustic anything instrument.
Like I bought an old Martin, and like with him, like I was like playing several of them, and he was like, "This one, we both turned heads," kind of thing. Like
yeah.
Even the Martin that I have now, we both turned heads on. Like, I remember he was doing stuff with Moby on this weird Gibson that he had, and he literally wrote down the serial number.
Yeah,
hit up Gibson and tracked it down because of the way it recorded.
Yeah,
like they're all so unique from every single model, even if it's made on a line.
And
and that's really cool. Like you don't get most of the gear nowadays. Like you don't get that in a synth. You don't get that in a plug-in.
No.
Like when you find that cherry piece, like it's
that thing
it's
that
worth
inspires
something.
you to play differently.
Yeah,
yeah. There's nothing like
the way
that.
like you could have a guitar that plays live so well, but it records differently, and you could have a guitar that records so perfectly, but live it doesn't. It doesn't get you that same feeling, that raw emotion, or anything like that. And I think that's really cool about acoustic pieces.
There's a magic in them.
Yeah. To answer the question for myself, apart from my loved ones and critters, would be probably my BA660. It's a Greg Hanks. It's a random piece of gear. There's like 20 something in existence.
What is it?
It's a mic pre-compressor limiter.
Okay.
But the guy Greg Hanks made it. It's all handmade. all point to point, all Class A. It's all tubed. It's got like 153 dB of gain.
Okay. It's a loud motherfucker.
It definitely is. But it's really sick because the compressor section of it has modeling tailored to exactly how it was, as far as ratio, attack, release, and you just basically then you have threshold and output.
Right.
But on the mic pre side, you have the input, and you also you can use it as a line in, with a separate mic pre.
Sure.
And but then it's also got a manual mode where you can set the ratio, attack, and release. But it sounds like these compressors. It sounds like a Fairchild. It sounds like a BA6. It sounds like an LA2A. And it's got its own kind of version of what it thinks compression should sound like. And to me, that's one of my favorite things. I've used it on a lot of records for other people, for a lot of like big pop acts. I've used it for so many different things. And it's just versatile. So it's like, it's one of those things like I to get it, hit up. I was looking at where they existed. Like the studio owner of the studio I came up at in New York had two. Right. And I was like, okay, like where do these exist in the world? And I hit up a studio owner in Michigan, and he was like, oh, like I have this. I was like, would you be interested in selling it? And he's like, well, I never really thought of that. And I was like, well, I'll give you this much for it, which is like a couple $100 over list. And he was like, sure. Come to find out that like Eddie Van Halen bought one for like 10 times the price.
Right.
And, all this shit of like how much they're actually worth. So I would probably, if I had my hard drives or if I had my computer or my girl and, my cats and dogs and all these things, then yeah, that's the piece of gear. I think everything else is replaceable.
That's the one.
I think. Is anything else replaceable? Yeah. I think everything else is. If I have all that stuff, I need a fucking duffel bag. I need to build a go bag of like of all my stuff.
Put 8 heads in it. Then you get Joe Pesci.
What is it? Put heads in it?
Yeah. Then you get Joe Pesci.
Yeah. Then I think that's what I'd take. Jared wants AC back. We all want AC back.
We all want AC back. It's fucking hot in here.
But cheers, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man.
I appreciate this. This is awesome.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun. Hope I didn't talk any shit on anyone or nobody's offended.
If you did, they deserved it.
I'm sure everybody's offended in every world, in every genre. But I'm not sorry.
That was Not Sorry. He's got a new tune out on Friday called Shadows. It's with Des McMahon, and it's out on Viper Recordings. So go give it a listen on Friday, not right now. I'm not going anywhere this weekend. I get to be home. I get to do birthday parties for other people. However, the following weekend, on September 8th, I'm in New York at Output, and on the 9th, I'm in Montreal at Newspeak. So if you happen to be in those cities, come on out. See you then.